Here we are, guys. Warner Brothers Studio here in Burbank, California. You got the iconic Warner Brothers Studio water tower over yonder right there. And you got the cast of Friends right there. Look how young they look. Now, Jennifer Aniston, she is that rare breed of woman that has actually gotten better looking as she's gotten older, in my personal opinion. And you got a statue of Wonder Woman looking very, very fierce and very, very strong. And very, very curvy. I didn't realize how, yeah, Wonder Woman. All right. Well, today's story is about a different kind of woman, but she was no Wonder Woman. It's a wonder why she was not executed via the hangman's noose in California's gallows. Today, we're going to be talking about Nellie Mae Madison, the Enigma woman. Nellie Mae Madison was born Nellie Mae Mooney on a brisk afternoon in Red Rock, Montana on April 5th, 1898 to Irish immigrant parents on a sheep farm. Yeah, growing up on a sheep farm in Red Rock, Montana, not my idea of a good time. Now, I don't know what the heck this woman's childhood was like, but obviously this girl thrived on being excited, meeting new, interesting men, and getting married a lot and running away from home. Now, I don't know what this girl in her mind is thinking for a lot of her life and what she's doing with it. But she has been married 5 times. Wow. So in 1908, she eloped when she was only 13 years of age. How do you like that? So she eloped to Ogden, Utah, and she married a 24-year-old thug cowboy criminal named Ralph Brothers. He was 24, she was 13. I guess that's how they did things back in those days. So later on, her parents, they had the marriage annulled, right? So it's like it never even happened. And then later on in 1912, she moved to Boise, Idaho, I guess warmer climate perhaps. And she enrolls in a business school, I guess a calculator college or something like that, Texas Instruments, anybody? So over there, she married a firefighter, and his name was Clarence Kennedy. Clarence didn't really bring the ruckus in Nellie's life, I guess. I don't know. So they ended up getting a divorce, and next she marries a mechanic, and his name is Wilbur Trask. They get married, and they move to LA, and then she gets divorced again. I guess this girl is very, 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 very bored. So now it's 1930. This woman has been married 3 times. Well, technically 2. The first one was annulled. And she meets a attorney. His name is William Brown. Okay, at least now she's marrying somebody that has a good career, right? So they get married, and Mr. Brown, he doesn't realize that this broad is cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. A lot of domestic violence going on in that household, and I'm gonna guess a lot of it was started by her. She probably has some form or another of mental illness, so they would eventually end up getting a divorce. I can say that Mr. Brown barely escaped with his life. Unfortunately, her 4th or 5th husband, depending on how you want to look at it, unfortunately, Mr. Eric Madison would not be so lucky. He marries this broad, and he does not know what he's getting into, sadly. So Nellie needs a break, right? She's getting tired of Los Angeles. She's tired of the hustle and bustle of 1930s Los Angeles. So she heads out to Palm Springs, and she would get a job at the Desert Inn Hotel. Now, whenever I get to doing a Dark Side of Palm Springs, I will be throwing that place in that video because it has some pretty interesting history. Originally, the Desert Inn, it started as a sanatorium, or is a sanitarium, whatever the case might be. It started off as that. It started off as a couple tents in the desert, and then it grew into a place where a lot of celebrities would go stay and play down in Palm Springs. So she ends up getting some work over there, and then one day she meets a man who she finds attractive, one Eric Madison. And maybe Eric thinks that she's attractive or whatever, so they jumped the broom, if you will. They ended up getting married, and they ended up coming back out here to Burbank, California. Now, Eric, he had a pretty good job. He worked at the Warner Brothers studio where we just were at. He was an accountant. And I'm not 100% sure if he got her a job working at the studio or not. I believe she might have worked at the commissary. Don't quote me. But I'm sure this lady is working some kind of job over there. And of course, the neighbors where they used to live at 3516 Riverside, which is where we're at right now, they would constantly hear the couple argue. So it wasn't unusual to hear yelling and screaming, and Eric, all of a sudden, he does not know what he got himself into. He wants to get the heck out of that situation. I'm sure he loves her, but she's just knuckin' futz. I mean, this lady is crazy. So it's March 24th, 1934. The couple now has only been married for 9 months, and they're already constantly fighting and constantly bickering. And it's another usual afternoon at the apartment at 3516 Riverside. And so I don't know exactly what took place, but the neighbors, they hear a quick fire of shots. And at first the neighbors are thinking to themselves, they said, is that gunshots? But then again, Warner Brothers studio is right over there. So they're just like, they're just probably making a movie. Well, no, they weren't making a movie. No, those shots were coming out of a .32 caliber revolver, and those bullets were being pumped into Eric Madison's body, one in his chest and 3 or 4 in his back. So later on, the landlady of the apartment building that it used to stand right here. Guys, 90 years ago, so this place is long gone. But their address, 3516, it would have been somewhere right on the property where this building is. So the landlady discovers Eric dead in the bedroom, and Nellie is nowhere to be found. So they call the police, and now the police are hot on her trail. They're looking for this lady, and eventually she would be found hiding at her friend's ranch in Lubbock, California, which is about 80 miles north of here. So the police, they find her cowering in this man's closet, and I think the man, Bill Cuddy was his name, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. You know, she was probably banging him or whatever, and so he's pretending that he's not an adulterer, or she's not an adulterer, or whatever. So they ended up dragging her back to Los Angeles here, and next thing you know, she is all over the newspapers. This woman is pretty famous, and she's pretty famous because, well, the prosecutor in the case, when they start gathering the evidence and they start looking at things, it's showing that there was premeditation in this murder. Now, it came out in the court during the trial that but maybe 3 days before the murder occurred, Nellie had actually bought 2 revolvers and a box of bullets from a hardware store in Hollywood. So she meant to more than likely kill this dude. Now, she's saying in court, first she says, I didn't do it. I didn't kill my husband. I had nothing to do with that. And then her defense later on was, so check this out. So she gets arrested, she gets locked up. They allow her to go to the funeral, right? She goes to the funeral, and then she's looking at the body, and she says, that's not Eric, that's not my husband. Like, what the hell are you talking about? She's like, no, I swear, that is not him. I did not kill him. And that is a body double. That is a dead person. I do not know who that is. No, I am innocent, and this is a sham, and this is a travesty. I'm an innocent woman, blah, blah, blah. So they start delving into her past, and they find out about all those marriages. And then remember Mr. Brown, the attorney, her third or fourth husband, however you want to call it. He says, like, hey, actually, you know what? She was pretty abusive. She had cut my ear really badly with a bottle. She broke it over my head. And another time she came at me with a knife. And one time she fired a gun at me. But unfortunately for her, the bullet missed me. So she's a crackpot. Now, her brother, who was a sheriff's deputy in Dillon, Montana, he came down here for the trial as a character witness. And she might have had a past husband come down to try to defend her. I think William Brown, I think he might have defended her somewhat, saying that maybe she was off her rocker or whatever. But, Nellie Mae, she's trying to tell the court that she was a battered woman, that Eric was abusive to her, but she still loved him, and she didn't kill him. Oh, and by the way, that dead body, when she went to the funeral of him, that dead body, that was not him. That was a different man. I didn't kill anybody. So you can kind of see that this woman, this crazy, enigmatic woman, has more than a couple marbles loose in her dome for sure. Now, eventually, Nellie Mae Madison would be found guilty of first-degree murder, and she was actually sentenced to die via the hangman's noose. So they transfer her up to Tehachapi, and that's where she's going to be at until they build a specially constructed gallows for her to hang from. Now, even though she did have her issues or what have you, apparently Mr. Madison, he had his issues as well. Now, it was, I guess it was considered like shocking that you would, elect to have the first woman ever in California history to be sentenced to death. So there was a public outcry. And of course, you get an appeal. And, one of Eric's former wives, she came through and she said, hey, listen, I was married to this guy and he was very abusive. Actually, during the divorce, he beat me so badly that I couldn't walk for like an entire day. And he forced me to sign the divorce papers stating that I guess she was the cause of the divorce or what have you. So she attested to the fact that Eric Madison was a very violent individual, and couple that with Mr. Brown, let bygones be bygones or whatever. Okay, yeah, she's a little feisty. Yeah, she cut my ear really badly, but he told her, hey, listen, I'm an attorney. I'm going to forget about you, taking a shot at me. You really need to ride this out and tell them that you were an abused woman. And this was one of the first cases where a woman who claims that she was abused, has a right to self-defense. Right? Does that make any sense? So then her story is still hanging in the newspapers, and she wasn't the media darling that the newspapers and radio stations wanted, because they would call her Iron Woman in the newspapers, and that's because during the trial she didn't really cry, she didn't really look upset, she didn't really look like she was scared. As a matter of fact, when they read the death sentence to her, she sat as pretty stone-faced as Andrei Karolinko, and pretty much that guy right there, that's a stone face if I've ever seen one. So great basketball player, by the way. So I would have loved to have seen him on the Lakers. So eventually she gets her sentence reduced to time served, and she is let out after serving 9 years. She's let out on March 27th, 1943. Exactly 9 years and 3 days after the murder occurred. So she did her 9 years in prison. And when she got out, she quickly faded into obscurity. And she would later move to San Bernardino. And does anybody want to guess if she got married for a sixth time? Well, yeah, she did. She got married a sixth time. So the grave of Eric Madison is unmarked, but he lies right here. I don't know why it's unmarked. Don't ask me, I have no clue. But right here is where he lies. Was he really an abusive man? I mean, who knows? I mean, definitely didn't deserve to get killed unless he was beating her. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Just a quick bit of California true crime history, if you will. And here we are, the final leg of the video. This here is Nellie Mae Wagner now. Her name is Wagner now because she got remarried after she got out of prison. And she's buried next to her husband, John. And yeah, so it took me a little bit of a while to find the grave, but that was because I was looking for Madison, which it should have been Wagner. Okay, well, anyway, so listen, she did her time. The guy might have been abusive. We don't know. I personally think, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. What do you guys think over there in your cool golf cart? What do you guys think? Yeah, they're looking back. They're looking back. Okay, guys. Hey, she served her time. So that's it. That is it. The Wagners. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Catch up with you on the next video. Peace out.